My friend Representative Roger Bruce is recognized for a morning order. Representative Bruce. Come on, y'all, that's not right now.
All right. All right. As the late, great Kenny Rogers once said, you got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. It's time for me to walk away. As I thought about what I wanted to say on this final trip to the well, and I say final trip, I'm hoping that the Rules Committee doesn't pass something that makes me come back down here. But I will if I have to. But anyway, three things come to mind that I want to include in my final remarks. One, thank you. Two, share a few memorable moments. And three, leave you with a challenge. So after 22 years of service, managing to survive this organized chaos that we call the General Assembly, thousands of meetings, board meetings, school board meetings, PTA meetings, city council meetings, the county commission meetings, judiciary committee meetings, which was a whole lot and very long. Fulton delegation meetings and all the other meetings, events, retreats, and all the other things that we are called on to do. I simply just want to do something else. And we all have to know when our time has come. So thank God for giving me the strength to make this journey. Thanks to my wife, Angela, and my children for the countless hours away from my family so that I could be here to do this work. There are other indications that it's time to go. For example, when you have to give yourself 30 minutes to get from the CLOB to the Capitol. When you walk past the steps looking for the elevator, and if you do take the steps, you're holding on to the handrails and walking down one step at a time. When you no longer want to go to events over at the depot because you just don't feel like making the walk, it's time to go. It's also time to go when you know that you're not going to solve all the problems in the world from this position. Because if you're in the minority party, you have a better chance of hitting the lottery than you do of getting your bills out of rules. Yes, I want you to know that I was part of a group, Al and some others. We were all part of a freshman class that thought we were going to come down here and change the world. The year that we came, we had to elect a new Speaker of the House. We decided that we were not going to vote for anybody to be Speaker of the House unless we interviewed them first. I thought we were going to have to call an ambulance on Calvin Smyrie when he found out what we were planning to do. He told us that we had lost our minds, that we could not interview people for Speaker of the House. That's when we learned the power of numbers in this place. We had more numbers, and they could not elect a speaker without us. And the candidates for speaker knew that, and they agreed to the interview. During that interview, we asked them, we said that, well, we kind of sent him into another cardiac arrest when we he found out we told the candidates that we interviewed that we wanted to be officers on every committee that we served on. And he said, "Are you crazy?" And we said, "Yep, we want to be officers." And we asked the candidates for Speaker if they would agree to make us officers. One candidate said, "Yeah." The other candidate said, "No way." Guess who we voted for to become the Speaker of the House? I ended up as the vice chair of the Insurance Committee. He's not here, but I believe Billy Mitchell ended up being the vice chair of reapportionment as freshman. And we didn't know where the bathroom was, but the point was we insisted on it, we knew how the numbers worked, and it happened. My first piece of legislation was to come up with a committee that was going to look at how people who did repairs in your home were licensed. And he's not here either, but if you would believe that my co-sponsor of that bill was Barry Fleming. That's what I said. What? And the way it came about, the way I met Barry, he was telling somebody that he was from Harlem. And I was like, "I'm from Harlem. I don't remember seeing you in Harlem." And that's when I learned that there was a Harlem, Georgia, as well as a Harlem, New York. I mean, I was really thrown by that. But we agreed to sponsor that bill together. And we have not agreed on anything since that time. My second piece of legislation was with Howard Mosby and Virgil Flood, Alicia Morgan, well, it was Thomas at the time. We were all freshmen, and we decided that we wanted to change the state flag of Georgia, to remove all of the Confederate emblems that were on that flag. And we were able to get a few of the senior members to join us in that effort. And we got that bill passed. And what was so weird about it is that I was told, I had a picture that I wanted to show you. They told me it was too graphic to put it up there. But we had people take our images off of the state site, and they made me look like I was Gaddafi. They had put a beard on me, one of them hats on me, and they did it with all of them. And that went across the entire state. And I really wanted to show it to you, so if you really want to come see it afterwards, come over to my desk, I'll show it to you. But that was when the first time that we started getting phone calls, hundreds by the minute. People were calling us from all over the state. Our lives were threatened. All kinds of things were happening because of that flag. The Ku Klux Klan marched around the Capitol that day. They didn't wear their masks, but they marched around the Capitol. I'm telling you these things because it is part of the history. We've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. We have not done all the things that we need to do. After that first term, I was fired up and I was ready to go. I was on a mission at that point to get us a new school in the district that I served. I wanted a new school building. So I was at a school board meeting that I talked about earlier about all the meetings I went to. I was at a school board meeting, and during that school board meeting, I felt something pop in my head. Didn't know what it was, didn't hurt, but clearly I knew something was wrong. And I went to my wife, and men, we never volunteer to go to the hospital, right? We don't do that. But that night, I did. I told her something was wrong, and I needed to go to the hospital. When we got to the hospital, which was right down the street from the school board meeting, there was no neurologist on duty. But as we were going through the do you have insurance routine, I passed out. a blood vessel had burst in my brain, and it knocked me out. So everything that happened after that was what my wife told me happened. Since there was no neurologist on duty, they put me in an ambulance and they took me down to Atlanta Medical downtown. And once we were there, the neurologist that was on duty didn't know what was going on and told my wife that he wanted to perform exploratory surgery on my brain. And my wife told him, "Are you crazy? I'm not going to let you do exploratory surgery on his brain. I'm going to take him to another hospital." Then they told her that if she put me in an ambulance and took me somewhere else, I'd be dead before I got there. She's a religious lady, and she said, "We'll take our chances. We'll put it in the hands of God." So they took me over to Emory, and Emory figured out what was going on, and they kept me in a coma so that they could do the work that they needed to do to bring me back around. Several weeks later, I woke up, not knowing that I had been out that long. I was told that my first words were, "Did we get to school?" And yes, we did. We got to school. While recovering in the hospital, I told the nurses that I was a member of the House of Representatives, and they laughed and thought I was suffering from the after effects of the surgery that I had just gone through. Speaker Coleman arranged for me to call in and put me on those two screens that you see from my hospital bed and allowed me to say hello to everybody. I wish I had the video of the nurses when they saw that. They were like, "Oh, he is." Clearly, that was a feeling of family. That was a time when I got so many prayers and so many people and so much support. I did feel like this was a family. And I really want to say thank you to all of you that were here when that happened. There were only a few people that knew that when I came out of that coma, that I had lost my ability to read. I knew what an A was, and I knew what a B was, but I could not put the sounds together to create the words. It was weird because I was still able to write, but I couldn't read what I wrote. And that was also an election year, and I was in no condition to campaign. But once again, this family that we have here stepped up. Representative Mosby, I don't know if he's here, he said he was going to try to come by. Representative Flood and others campaigned for me, and I won the election to return. But now, I had to figure out how I was going to do that without the ability to read. I started therapy and discovered that I could retain things if I heard it. So I got a computer that I loaded all of the bills. I loaded all the bills on that computer, and I would sit back over there and listen to the computer read those bills to me. Only my seatmate knew what was going on. Only my seatmate knew what was happening. After about 9 months later, it felt like my brain just rebooted, and things were beginning to improve. I started to read, although I never was able to start reading at the same pace that I once read at. I used to read very fast. But I started reading and listening to the bills. Then the political climate changed. The governor's office went to the Republicans, and several members of the House switched parties, giving the Republicans the majority. A few years later, the Senate changed as well, and life has never been the same. After going through and getting adjusted to the change, another medical issue came about. I found out that I had prostate cancer. No symptoms, found out during a routine checkup. I urge all of the men in this room to get checked. So I had to go to 40 days of treatment. Every day of the session, I would go to Emory at 7 a.m. in the morning for treatment, and then I would come here. I never missed one day of serving my constituents. On the last day, I hosted the doctor of the day, and I told everyone what I had gone through. And I had the doctors that treated me to address this body about the need to be treated and tested, to be tested. As a suggestion, Mr. Speaker, we should go back to letting the doctor of the day come to the chamber and give a quick medical tip on each time that they came. It may save the life of somebody in here. Again, I really want to thank my seatmate, Gloria Frazier. She told me, she put this up there because she knew I was going to probably need it. But she was one of the only people in here that knew that what I was going through. We sat over there, and she kept me pumped up. She kept me going. She kept me in a state of mind that I did not let all those things that were happening affect what I was doing here. So Gloria, I gotta say thank you. I really do. She helped me get through all of this. Derek Jackson and I, there's Derek over there, we used to have a show. You were part of it for a while too. We had our own show. We called it Under the Gold Dome. We had a 2-year run on that thing, and we interviewed a lot of people. We thought we were TV stars. And we went through a lot of information and shared a lot of information with a lot of people. And Derek, I just wanted to thank you for sharing that experience with me. It was a great time while we were here. After 22 years, there are so many people to thank, and you just can't do it all. And I know that the speaker's going to push this button up here probably at some point, but I do want to say thank you to one more person. We have parked next to each other in the same parking space for as long as I can remember, fussing if somebody got in our parking space. We have had countless conversations about legislation, budgets, new ideas, all kinds of things. And we just talked a lot about life in general because both of us had a lot going on. My sister from another mother, Deborah Bazemore, thank you. Thank you for always being there. There's so many more people that I want to thank. The staff, our clerk, he has been great. I've never had any issues. I go up there and tell him what's going on, and he was always responsive to me. So thank you, Mr. Clerk. The doorkeepers, when I walk in and they walk up to me and they say, "Good morning, Representative Bruce," that's a great feeling. And they say it not only to me, but they say it to you. And I hope you respond to them and not just walk past them. Legislative Council and everybody else that helped me do this job, I really thank you. I really, really do. I know we have to move on, so finally, the challenge. Mr. Speaker, you and I have had a very good conversation about 2 pieces of legislation that I proposed. I want to thank you for that conversation and for understanding without judgment why I proposed those 2 pieces of legislation. That is the way it's supposed to be here. You talk about your differences and you try to come up with something that will satisfy everybody. You discuss it and then you move on. Whether you agree or not is not the issue. It's the fact that you had the discussion and there was an attempt. One of those bills was decided by the courts, so I won't even deal with that one. But the other one, House Bill 955, did not get a hearing in committee. That bill would have created a study committee to do exactly what we did a few weeks ago. For those two people that were wrongfully arrested and jailed for something that they did not do. That was the right thing to do. We voted to give those people reparations to help them get back on their feet. Again, that was the right thing to do, and I was happy to support the action that we took that day. I believe that was your bills. Is that correct? But my challenge is that we step up once again and do the same thing for the descendants of one of the worst periods in the history of our country and our state. Slavery was real, and it is still having an impact on this country and this state. I understand that crossover has passed, but I also know that if there's a will, there's a way. We can attach that to one of these Senate bills that we're dealing with, or Mr. Speaker, you can just form a study committee to look at this issue, the impact that it is having and has had, and come up with a House study committee that could make recommendations on legislation to be introduced in the next session. So I want you to go down in history as the Speaker and the legislators that started the healing process and did for thousands of people what we did for those two people a few weeks ago. Everyone has spoken so far about this being a family. My last request is that we do as families do, that we step up, we embrace each other, and help one another, and do one more time what we did 2 weeks ago. I really appreciate all of you. I really, really do. But there's a picture that they're going to put up on that, I think they're going to put it up there, that I wanted you to see, because people keep asking me what I'm going to do next. I'm going to do two things. My colleague, where is he? He's not, there he is. We're going to start our own business. We're going to do documentaries about people that have, Carl, stand up so they know who I'm talking about. You hiding in the corner. We're going to do documentaries about people who have done things to help this state and this country that have not had an opportunity to be recognized for all the things that they've done. We're going to do that. But also, is the picture coming up? Okay, I'm good. If the speaker's good, I'm good. There's a whole lot of other things I wanted to say, but I'm not going to say, but I want you to see this picture. Hopefully they'll get it up there shortly. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm headed to Texas to spend time with my granddaughter, Nova. That is Nova. Somebody take a picture of that so I have that on that big screen, please. So to all of you, I just want to say thank you. God bless you. And Mr. Speaker, with that, I yield the will.
Representative Bruce, thank you for 22 years of serving Georgia, the people of your district, but more importantly, serving our entire state. What a beautiful thing. And good luck and Godspeed to you. How about come up with me? Representative Roger Bruce, y'all. Let's give him another round of applause and show him our appreciation.